Let's talk about food. Hi, it's the day after Thanksgiving, and I feel terrible because I've eaten too much. I've eaten things I shouldn't have, which is a good reminder of what we should be doing. And I've been asked to do a video on weight loss, but instead, I want to turn that around and share with you what I have been using for 3 years that has supported my health, and I've found it's been more successful than any program I've tried in my whole adult life. So I would like to share with you my wise eating plan, and I hope some of you will find the kind of success that I have found over the last few years by using it. So bear with me, and here we go into my wise eating plan with all the things that I found work for me. And I hope that there are some of you out there that this is exactly what you've been waiting for and need to hear. Sometimes we just need reminders of the things that we have heard or have used before. And here's Valerie's wise eating plan. Now, first of all, I want to say that there's no one plan that will work for everyone. We know that. Our bodies are different and we have different needs. Now, when I say I feel my best, it means I don't get colds, I don't get the flu. I just feel more powerful and energetic when I follow this. One of the plans that I did try was to become a vegetarian, and I tried that for about 6 months, and I just didn't feel good. I didn't have the energy. Just was not my thing. It didn't serve me well. And one day I was watching TED Talks, and I saw one TED Talk by Dr. Terry Walls, and it's called Minding Your Mitochondria. Now, Dr. Walls had MS. She was a vegetarian for about 20 years and developed MS and went steadily downhill until she was wheelchair bound for about 3 years, until she started to look into nutrition as a way of fighting MS. And on YouTube, you can see one of her short clips called Dr. Terry Walls Fights MS with Nutrition. And that really struck a chord with me because I did have some autoimmune issues in my 50s where my ANA levels, anti-nuclear antibody levels, were very high, and I was being monitored until the point where I said, like, well, what can we do about it? And the doctor, the specialist, said, well, nothing. He said, you're at the point where any organ can break down. And he said, the only thing I can suggest is that you take baby aspirin every day, which might help with an episode. And with that, I left his office a little discouraged, but that also is the last time I went for testing my blood. But I have turned around because I feel healthy, I feel well. You don't need to get a blood test to know when you're feeling really good. And so I paid attention to what Dr. Terry Walls said in her video, and I have added meat and seafood to my food consumption ever since I heard her speak. So in my plan, you will see that I do have meat, but I do suggest you could check out what she had to say because I found it pretty amazing. But let's get back to where my food plan is now. Now, my first step was to fuel my body with the wholesome organic food. And most people accept the idea that our regular supermarket food has many more toxic chemicals in it than organic food. Then why don't more people choose organic? Well, some people claim that not all produce marked organic legitimately falls within the federal and now international guidelines. It is likely that there's a small number of growers that are cheating somewhat And even if 10% of my organic produce is not truly organic, then the other 90% is more beneficial. Some people don't choose organic because it costs more per pound than the alternative. But I can buy a lot of organic produce by leaving the junk food and the processed food on the store shelves. So eating the most wholesome food available is an investment in my health, and the cost of illness, uh, financially, physically, and mentally, is more than I'm willing to pay. So I choose to fuel my body with the cleanest, freshest foods I can find. Of course, in a perfect world, I would have my own garden, but that's not the case because of where I live. Now, how my food plan is going to differ from so many others is that I don't restrict or forbid any food group. Of course, we all encourage lots and lots of vegetables. Dr. Wall asks for 9 cups of vegetables a day, lots of greens and lots of the bright colors. I stick to that, and my plan pretty much hits that, which I'll discuss with you in a bit. I use my fruit as after a meal for a little sweet. Basically, it's my dessert a lot of times, where I'll just have a cup of cherries or a cup of pineapple, something like that, because I always feel like I want a little sweet after a meal, and fruit helps with that. Dairy, I have a limited amount of dairy because I am sort of sensitive to it. Um, but I want my milk in my coffee, my whole milk in my coffee. And when I have oatmeal, I want a little milk on my oatmeal. So I don't drink glasses of milk or eat yogurt or cheeses, but I do have a limited amount of dairy, and I enjoy it, and I think I believe it's okay for me. The other thing is I do include my grains. I have uh, whole grain or artisan breads with very little additives in it. My meat is grass-fed beef or grass-fed lamb, grass-fed bison, wild caught seafood, and I'm trying to think of what else. Um, I just don't take out anything. I eat eggs. Uh, they're fresh. I eat the very best that I can buy, and I feel good on it. I just feel good on this diet. So the next thing we look at is our portions and the formula. I'm not giving you recipes. I'm going to give you the balance that I use between my food groups. I also want to mention that I do not exclude any oils. In fact, we need a healthy balance between omega-6 and omega-3. Um, I The only one I would never have is margarine, which isn't really a healthy oil. Okay, the first thing I said, I chose a healthy breakfast food. For me, it could be oatmeal, following the serving size on the package, and I might be adding raisins or apples. Um, for sure, there's no instant oatmeal here, please. I can choose eggs, 1 or 2, depending on how much I intend to eat that day or what I'm going to do, but certainly not every day. My breads that I eat are whole grain artisan breads, and I might have them with peanut butter and jam, or sometimes with just avocado. But I keep my portion down to 2 ounces of bread. I love muffins that are loaded with nuts or cranberries. I make myself potato pancakes with a little agave syrup, or a whole grain pancake with maple syrup. I'm just creative. Everything's okay except I stay away from boxed cereals and any processed foods, of course. And as you know from other videos, I enjoy 1 cup of coffee with my breakfast, and I even add milk and sugar just for the fun of it. But there's an important part too to the breakfast that makes it more nutritious. Now, the part 2 of my breakfast brings me more vegetables, fruit and vegetables. And I do that by juicing. So anytime before my solid breakfast food or within an hour after I've eaten, on one day I make an orange boost. The following day I'll make a green boost, and I alternate back and forth. And first of all, on my green boost day, I juice a cup of spinach, a large Swiss chard leaf, a half a cucumber, a stick of celery, 2 small green apples, 1 peeled lime, and an inch of ginger root. Of course, as I said in the beginning, this is all organic because I want the most nutrition and the least toxicity in the food. So that's Green Boost Day. The next day, I have my Orange Boost. And that day, I juice 6 large carrots, 1 green apple, 1 peeled orange, and 1 piece of ginger root. So I enjoy these, and it gives me 1 large 12-ounce glass of fresh juice a day. I'm sure that more would be better, but this is the amount that suits me. So in addition to my 3 meals a day, I'm adding a juice every day, a 12-ounce freshly ground juice, and dessert will be fruits after a meal. Now, what you might find unusual for my midday meal is that I do not eat a lot of salad. And though this is not about curing illness, I do take a lot of my information from medical people who believe in using food as for healing your body. And so um, Deepak Chopra caught my attention in his book, Boundless Energy, when he mentions how eating salads actually drains your body of energy because it takes so much to digest all of that roughage and break down those salads. So I also find I feel better 20 minutes after a meal if I have cooked a food as opposed to eating a salad. So that's why my midday choices are what they're going to be. Dr. Charlotte Gershon also talks about how when you're sick, your digestive system is compromised. So it doesn't have the ability to take the nutrients from raw foods. So in her healing, she recommends soups are slow cooked for a couple of hours to extract the goodness from them. And that also caught my attention, that if she was treating ill people with cooked food instead of raw, that there might be something in that. And again, I'm not trying to cure an illness, but I'm just trying to pick up tips on what would make my body feel better. And I'm not following Charlotte Gershon's protocol. I'm not following Deepak Chopra's. I'm not following Dr. Terry Wahls. I am picking and choosing from a number of sources and then just saying what sounds true for me. And what sounds true for me, or what is true for me, may not be true for everybody else. But I feel good when I follow my plan. And I'll get into the ingredients now of the lunch. Now for lunch, just think of lots and lots of cooked vegetables and a small amount of meat, either none, which is vegetarian, or up to 2 ounces max. And I do use soups, a lot of soups at lunchtime, or just meals where I will cook a small amount of meat or chickpeas, some alternative, and add a lot of vegetables. So I'll just show you a few pictures and then give you a clip on some food prep ideas. Hi, it's Valerie here. I just got home from shopping and I wanted to show you a few things. As I come in the door, the first things I took out of the grocery bags was my organic chicken legs. And I am working tomorrow, so I'm preparing the broth while I put away the other groceries and get organized for the evening. I simply threw in my 4 or 5 organic chicken legs into a pot with some water, carrots, onions, celery, parsnip, salt. I'll throw in some parsley and pepper in a little bit. I'm going to let that simmer for about 40 minutes. By then, I'll be able to take the meat off the bones and discard the skin and bones and the onions and put in some fresh vegetables to cook tomorrow. Um, I wanted to just show you a few other things about organization and my weight loss program. One of the things that I do is when I bring home my meat, is divide it up into the 2 ounce and 4 ounce portions that I can just easily access. And I freeze it, but have two out all the time in the fridge. Now the 2 ounce again are as if I want to have a lunch meal, I only use a 2 ouncer, and evening is my 4 ounce. Now the star of lunch is vegetables, and I choose to add 2 ounces of meat sometimes, but you do not have to. It's probably as healthy if you don't add the meat. And I'm always cooking for one person, but I want to show you a short clip of how my daughter handles food preparation uh, for a family of 4. And this is for her lunch preparation. She has to have it ready to go and in her very busy day.
Okay, so I think it's all about food prep. So we have roasted vegetables. I'm cooking carrot lentil soup. So here's the carrot lentil soup cooking. This is vegetable bean soup. That's huge.
I believe that the more variety we can put into our diet, the better off we are, because with variety comes a variety of nutrients and minerals. So I personally add seafood into my eating plan. And as you know by now, the difference between lunch and evening meal is simply the amount of protein. That I do eat meat at my evening meal, and I do the 4 ounces of that. So again, the variety is as important as the proportion, and so I include as many different kinds of meats as possible and as many kind of vegetables as possible. Okay, now I've finished shopping, and what am I going to do for my next meal? The plan is, and this is the standard recipe, is I have a small amount of meat. I've got the wild caught Canadian lobster, and I've got 5 vegetables. Again, nothing's left out. Green beans, red tomato, potato, corn, and portobello mushroom are going to be my vegetables for tonight. Now, if I felt like having rice instead of the potato, I would have a third of a cup of rice, third cooked or a quarter dry, and or I would have, if I wanted to have pasta with another meat, I would choose to substitute the potato. So I rotate between potato, rice, and pasta depending on the meat I've chosen. So I better get cooking. I think I've told you enough that you have a pretty good idea of what my eating plan is like. I do love uh, Angela Liddon's comment that life is too short not to enjoy dessert. And I mentioned before that I do eat dessert. I have fruit for dessert, but I didn't say that I also have, I will choose a dessert out of a vegan cookbook. And I choose these because they're a perfect opportunity to give me added nuts, fruit, whole grain flours, and just healthier ingredients. So I can enjoy some sweets while I'm still powering up my nutrients. So in closing, my health improved when I ate better. And first of all, it was organic. Second, I went to home cooking. I used to eat in restaurants a lot. Third, I learned portion control. That was one of my biggest problems. I also need variety in my products and color in my vegetables. Green is wonderful, but we need the other bright reds and oranges and other colors. My food has to be delicious. If I make something and it doesn't taste good, that recipe goes in the garbage. We have to enjoy our food. And I added nutrient boosting with juicing. And finally, I've enjoyed desserts. Usually it's fruit and my normal meals, but on special occasions, I will make a vegan desserts that have healthy nuts and seeds and berries and whole grains in it. We just need to enjoy our food, and that is something I've learned to do. I don't fear food, I look forward to it. So I hope I've given you some food for thought. Um, Take in the information, and as I always say, let your heart decide which is right for you.